Hi, and welcome to Hammer's Hacks, brought to you by Gold Tip Arrows and B-Singer Stabilizers. I'm your host, Tim Gillingham, and on each episode, I'll give you a simple tip, something that you probably didn't even consider that will help you become a better archer and bow hunter. One of the things that I have learned over the years is how the benefit of four-fletch patterns on hunting arrows, and especially with fixed blade broadheads. And where I learned this from was just experimentation. Grim Reaper is like a mile from my house, okay? And they were over here one day, and we just had this idea. We were going to determine what characteristics made a broadhead fly like a field point, right? Because every broadhead flies like a field point. Just ask the manufacturer, right? But the fact of the matter is, there ain't a single broadhead that flies like a field point. I found one or two in my day, but they are all mechanicals and very small. So I used to hunt Idaho. So this year, I remember distinctly that I was hunting Idaho. You had to shoot fixed blades, and I was shooting a typical standard what the industry said was the very best thing for fixed blade broadheads, and that was a 4-inch 3-fletch hard helical. And every broadhead, we had like 8 different brands of broadheads that we were shooting. And at some point, we were shooting about 80 yards or 90. At some point, every single one of those planed off and hit in the dirt. And I was just like, I could not get this set up the way I wanted it. And that's one of the reasons I hate fixed blades so bad, but I just don't see any redeeming qualities, I guess. So I had some arrows in the shop here built up that I'd shot ESPN Great Outdoor Games with. They were 22 series. They were a little bit bigger diameter, but they had 4-fletch 2.5-inch vanes on them. And the reason I initially had 4-fletch those were I could knock them upside down, right side up, in the heat of the moment, and I wouldn't have to worry about it. Well, that has some application to hunting too. If in the heat of the moment you knock a 3-fletch upside down, you're going to have a clearance issue. But when I switched to that 4-fletch arrow, it was such an epiphany. And I mean, when I say a remarkable difference, it went from every broadhead planing off into the dirt that I couldn't miss a 6-inch group like that. Okay. And I've seen this over the course of my archery career as I get to larger diameter shafts, which have more surface area, just like a fixed blade broadhead. They have the same effect. If I go to a blazer style vane, this is a Q2i Raptor. If I go to something like this, which is very popular and honestly probably as good as any 3 or 4-inch 3-fletch in my experience. But it kind of depends the distance you're shooting, how much blade surface area you have. But I found that even with large diameter target arrows like my triple X's in 3D, the difference between 3-fletch and 4-fletch was absolutely remarkable. So it's one of the reasons we now currently have this 4-fletch 2.5-inch vane or 2.75 vane from Q2i that we factory 4-fletch with. If you're shooting fixed blade broadheads or you're shooting mechanical broadheads that have a lot of blade surface area or have any susceptibility to any play in the blades or flutter, you're better off going a little bit more vane. Okay. I think this 2.75 will cover you on about any fixed blade broadhead. It actually, I think, will do a lot better job than, a 4-inch 3-fletch. If I go into like finger shot arrows, which this is my traditional, I go a little bit higher profile, but I still 4-fletch them because it's going to create a better air pocket, a better parachute on the back of that arrow to straighten that arrow back out and get the back of the arrow in line with the front, because the front can't take off if the back is in line with it. Okay. Even on my target arrows, I go to a lower profile, like this is a 2.1 low profile. I actually hunt with a vane very similar to that. I've actually hunted with this vane last year. And one of the reasons I like it is if you look at it, you got a very low side profile to the wind. And I shoot a glue-in Thorn mechanical, so I can run a very small vane that's very quiet. But I still go for 4-fletch because although I may not be able to see the difference a lot with that micro diameter arrow with a target point, I feel like it was so compelling in the fixed blade broadhead arena that it has to matter. Okay. And forgiveness is a very subtle thing. Forgiveness is basically defined by how far out do my bad shots hit. Okay. And that takes some practice. Okay. And you want to put the arrow in its worst form. That's why I was doing it at 90 yards. So go to your max distance. Fletch some arrow, 3 arrows up, 4 fletch, fletch 3 up, 3 fletch, and I think you're going to see the same results. Over time, you're going to see that my so-so shots, with a 3 fletch are going to hit further out, and my good shots are all going to go in the middle no matter what. So I hope that helps. Do some experimentation. We do offer it factory fletched from Gold Tip. It's something that I finally talked them into, and I really recommend it. So that's Hammer's Hacks. Hey, before you go, there's some great ways to keep getting even more info and tips. Subscribe to Gold Tip's Archery Ops podcast to hear my conversation with top experts in archery and bow hunting. You can also check out Gold Tip on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening, and always start tough and stay true out there.